red flags when seeing a home. We have some. One of the first ones that I noticed, because you see it when you're outside before you ever walk in, is grading. So when we see grading coming down, pooling towards the house, we don't have basements here, so I don't have to worry about basements flooding.
Right.
But we have to worry about it coming up against the foundation, and you actually can get water between the foundation and the wall. And so some people will get water in there. Grading is super important. And you can see that before you ever get into the home for the first time. And these are things that an inspector is probably going to point out.
Right.
But we as realtors are trying to stop people from getting to the point where they've gone under contract, they get the inspector out there, and then it's a oops.
Right. Or
Yeah.
like maybe that's a deal breaker for somebody. It might not be
Yeah.
for other people. Maybe somebody's like, well, I'll fix that after.
Right.
But pointing these things out, because
Yes.
it could be a deal breaker.
It could be. Right.
The second one is lipstick on a pig. I'll never forget the first time I heard that term. And I'm like, that makes sense. So basically, when you walk into a home and you can tell that all they did is the cosmetic stuff, like they put new paint on the walls, new carpet, but they didn't update anything else. Like you still have the old outlets.
Yeah.
You still, there's like a 19-year-old roof on the house.
Mm-hmm.
There's no mention of plumbing or sewer lines being updated. The AC's, 19 years old also.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you just, nothing
It
is...
looks pretty in the pictures because they painted the interior and
Right.
changed out some carpet and did some real basic stuff.
Yeah. So it's like...
it's still a pig.
That kind of goes with your next
Nothing
one.
against pigs. Yeah, the next one, which is remodeled by a flipper, which... there are a couple like really good flippers who go in and put in high quality stuff, but a lot of times you'll go in and the kitchen cabinets are new and they put in new countertops and they put in some appliances, but like you pull on the dishwasher and the dishwasher's not connected properly. You go and you open the cabinets and they are like some scratch and dent cabinets from some place. Things don't match, things don't go together. It was just, and you have to look for those things.
It's important. The other one is, like, you can usually tell by the age of the home is sewer lines. That's super important here because we have older homes that have cast iron sewer lines. They're at the end of their life. And you do not want to be fixing that after you've moved in. It's just, it's expensive. It's a pain in the butt to deal with. So knowing that you're going to probably have to be paying for a sewer line inspection, which could be just, the inspector scoping the line. Sometimes, though, they're not able to get through.
Yeah.
So then you got to call a plumber who has to pull toilets, and that becomes a more costly inspection.
Yeah.
And
it's so important because a lot of times the homeowner who lived there did a beautiful job, renovated the bathrooms, the kitchen, everything
put
new,
new
the
floors
flooring.
in.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful place. And then meanwhile, the sewer lines weren't done.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's like the cancer below the things you can't see.
Yes. Age of critical items, your roof, your HVAC, your pool surface, your exterior paint, things that are expensive. So we want to be looking for those things when we're walking through because maybe the AC is really old and it's okay. We know it's old and you have that in your budget. But if you don't have it in your budget, then, you need to know AC is not so inexpensive anymore.
No, it's not. It's gotten pricier and pricier,
super
like
pricey.
Everything else, really.
Yeah.
Walking into the home and you smell the distinct smell of a Glade plug-in or something like that, right? Candles, Febreze.
Candles.
Or you can smell that with like a little hint of cat litter or cigarette smoke or something like that.
Or unwashed dog. I mean, we love dogs. Kelly's got 5 dogs.
I have 5 dogs. My house probably smells like that.
We're not talking about that, but sometimes people have not done the things cleaning wise.
Yeah. So, whatever. I mean, if it's got a lot of that smell stuff to like try to diffuse whatever other bad things going on, sometimes you'll see that too when they've had like a mold problem because mold has a funky smell. So they'll use the air fresheners for that. So if there's a whole lot of that stuff plugged in, it's not just because they happen to like that usually.
Yeah.
Like multiple plugins everywhere or whatever. So
something definitely to watch out for. Flood zone. This is something that's very easy to see on the FEMA flood map. You can put in an address. You can determine if a home is in a flood zone. So flood zone X, which is still a flood zone, but it means very minimal chance of having a flood. And by the way, once again, just because you're in flood zone X does not mean you should not have flood insurance.
Agree. I mean, look at what has gone down this year with our natural disasters.
Yes.
Many people that were not in flood zones were certainly
A lot
affected.
of people in North Carolina were affected who were not in flood zones, and they flooded there. So, and in Florida. But yeah, so check and see, like before you make the offer, check and see, is the house in a flood zone? What would the flood insurance be?
Yeah. Good point. The other thing is like signs of deferred maintenance or basic upkeep, cleaning, things being neglected. Some of the telltales for this, I feel, are ceiling fans that have like 3 inches of the furry dust on them. Or I've noticed too, where sometimes I'll have buyers who will check the air filter because it's accessible on the wall, and you pull it down, and it's like, I don't know when the last time was that could have even been changed because it's so dusty. Those are kind of big deals because they do affect like your HVAC, and if there's a lot of dust buildup and things like that in the home.
The coils can get really dirty.
Yeah. So, and just other things, if there's broken things like lying around, or you know what I mean, just you can always tell if they haven't been doing like the bare minimum.
Yeah. And maintenance, even though it's maintenance, it can be expensive. It adds up.
Yeah, it does.
And then lots of bugs, ants, and roaches. So sometimes we go in and it's like, oh, they have pets because the roaches are so big. I mean, nothing against our Florida palmetto bugs and roaches.
Seeing roaches. One is not a big deal because I get them in my home, and we have pest control, and we do clean like, crazy people. But I went into this one house, and it was vacant. It was an investment. Maybe it had been a rental. I'm not sure. There was no furniture in it. And they had the German roaches all over the place. They were dead. That I could see. But they say if you can see that many, there's a whole lot more than where that came from.
Yeah. And if they're alive, like roaches tend to, during the day, they like to come out at night. So if you're seeing a lot of live roaches scattering around during the day,
oh, that's crazy.
That's definitely a problem.
Yeah.
And usually it means there's water somewhere or food. If it's vacant house, though, usually there's a water
That's a water
issue.
thing. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So yuck.
Gross.
We don't I make Jen in our office. If there's a roach or a bug of any sort, I'm like, Jen, hello.
Get rid of it.
Come kill the bug. She doesn't mind those things. I do. Yeah. So I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it for today.
All right. We'll see y'all next time. Cheers.